Marriage just means a different thing to me. I've still got my ideals about marriage. I don't know what it's all about.
Sue was 24 when she married Billy, and they had 2 children.
60.
To get married young, there must be things that you miss. You must miss that crucial stage of being yourself, because the minute you get married, you're no longer a single being, you're a partnership, and that should be the idea behind it.
By the time Sue was 35, she was divorced.
I've never sat down and thought, well, what was it? Was it this? Was it that? I just knew it wasn't working. I mean, there have been relationships when I could have settled, but they didn't feel quite right. So I've always come away and pulled away and just waited until the right one come along, if they ever do.
At 42, when we filmed Sue in the karaoke bar, she brought Glenn along to watch her sing.
Well, we've been engaged now for about 14 years. I've not beaten any records, but it's quite a long time, isn't it? Yeah.
Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm old.
So what is the status with you and Glenn?
We're still in the middle of the longest engagement known to man. We've been together now over 20 years. Still not married. Never say never. But no plans.
Where?
Goldfish.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We're both fine as it is, and if we do it, it's just going to be, let's do it. A spur of the moment thing, and, you know, we love each other, we've got a nice life.
The boat's there.
He came along at the right time for me. I've been on my own with the kids for quite a few years. He probably had the worst years, really, you know, the teenage years, but he stuck around, bless him.
We go to Zante.
He's been so supportive. There's been some medical stuff and some scary stuff going on, and he's been there and he's been my rock.
Sometimes we go out and play nicely with the boys, and sometimes we go out and argue with the boys.
He's having a new love in his life, which has been very, very difficult for me. Are you on the phone too?
What do you mean?
Motorbikes.
God.
But he does like me to get involved in this, and I won't get on the back of it. Not yet. Maybe when he's had a few more years of experience under his belt.
Have you and Glenn thought of having your own child?
Well, Glenn got with me when I was in my 40s, and I didn't want to do all that again. I would have loved to have had a baby because he would make a wonderful parent. But the timing was off.
So she's your baby?
She's my new baby, yeah. Yeah, my kids are my babies, but she's my new baby.
So...
She's our baby, yeah, mine and Glenn's. We lost our Jessie, and Jessie was the star. She got to a good old age, and we lost her. The grief is unbearable when you lose a dog. People with pets will know. And then a friend of mine asked me to take her dog, and they brought her around to meet as well. It was like, how could you not love her? You know, she's gorgeous.
Hang on, Moles.
I do quite a bit of typing, but a lot of my work is involved in making bookings and dealing with hotels abroad.
At 21, Sue worked for a travel agent. At 35, part-time for a building society.
Everything's changed for me because I'm now supporting myself a lot more.
At 42, she went back to work full-time, helping to run the courses in the legal faculty of Queen Mary College, University of London. At 49, she was the main administrator for their postgraduate program. Do you like the responsibility?
Yeah, I love the responsibility. I think I was born for the responsibility.
You can't do 2 modules that are taught at the same time, obviously. You know, it's physically impossible for us to timetable every single module.
Nothing really has changed. I'm still working for Queen Mary, 20 years under my belt, but I still enjoy it. Once you get to your 60s, it all gets a bit, like, how long have we got now? Like, how many years is it? You know, counting down, but no, still got the energy, thank goodness.
So what happens when you get to your 70s, you think?
Oh, God. Well, you tell me, Michael, you know. I've worked all my life, you know. I can't imagine not working. I work at home 1 day a week now, which is good because the central line was killing me. It's such an awful experience. Thank you very much. See you at graduation, yeah? Bye. All right.
Do you have a retiring age there? Or?
I think mine is 66. I say I'm not looking forward to it, but I don't know really if I am, because I can't imagine what it's like to fill your days.
Where does the life of my respectable middle-class mother overlap with a working-class slapper who leaves her illegitimate child on a church doorstep?
She was not!
You don't know!
I still do my drama, do me lovey stuff, as Glenn calls it. I like to sing, perform, and that's my hobby.
Cheers!
Cheers to the in-laws! Today we're having a very lovely afternoon tea. So it's just a small gathering, just to celebrate my birthday. When I got married, the primary reason was because I wanted to have a child. The two, to me, went together.
How are the two children doing?
Brilliantly. They've both bought their own flats and they're both independent people, good jobs. Both my kids are single still. Both haven't met Mr. Right. They seem to be happy and they're a joy to me. Well, I'm telling you now, that little pink cake over there. And I do worry about the future for younger generations. You know, what's going to happen? Because the NHS cannot carry on like this. It can't cope. It can't cope now. I think I'm probably the last generation that will get a decent NHS service.
Don't like people too posh. They look down on everybody else.
I think they're better.
Yeah.
At the roots of this film is the class system. Do you think it's still alive and well?
You are what you're born into. You'll never be upper class because you're born into upper class. But you can mix in those circles. I mean, I don't know. I've never been upper class. I'm never likely to be upper class in my life. Working class, always.
I don't see why they should have the luck when people have worked all their lives and haven't got half as much as what they have. It just don't seem fair.
People are struggling now. Benefits are not what they used to be. I mean, I work in London, so I see homeless people all the time. I don't remember it being that bad when I was younger. I suspect it was there, but I don't remember it being as bad as that. My generation, we had wonderful support from the council, which meant that if your parents were council tenants, you would get a council house, which got me into a house, which then enabled me to buy it and get onto the housing ladder and change my life. But that's not there anymore. Now, council housing is so difficult to get. You know, you've practically got to be homeless.
What would you do if you had lots of money? About, me, £2. Me.
One of the premises of the film is, give me a child until you're 7 and I will show you the man. Do you think that's true?
I think it probably is, to an extent.
Would you never fight with them?
You can be born shy. You can be born as an extrovert. You can be someone who likes to make people laugh. You can be someone who's much quieter and deeper. And I think that's in you. But then life happens and every experience will change you. My mum and dad, thank the Lord, are still with us and fighting, fit. Not fit, but fighting to be fit, you know. My mum's currently in hospital.
I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
I mean, I've lost family members, yeah, and everything's sad, but I can't say I've had a huge tragedy in my life yet, Michael. You know, we know what's coming. Sorry. Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile.
Do you think that these films have any value?
Well, they have a value to me because it's a lifelong achievement to be part of this programme, you know? And I'm astounded sometimes by the people that I meet and they all know about this programme. They might not have watched all of it, but they'll have a memory from it. They
they pick up on things that I think affect them. The things we go through are what everyone's going through.
Cheers!
When I grow up, I'd like to find out all about the moon and all that.
Nick, a farmer's son, grew up in the Yorkshire Dales.
And I said I was interested in physics and chemistry. Well, I'm not going to do that here.
At 14, he was away at boarding school, and at 21, reading physics at Oxford.
So what career are you going to pursue?
It depends whether I'll be good enough to do what I want to really do. I would like, if I can, to do research.
By 28, he had moved to America and was doing research into nuclear fusion at the University of Wisconsin.
The fusion reaction gives off energy and produces the power that would be turned into electrical energy and sent out to the consumer.
How hot is it in there?
In there, it's at about 10 million degrees.
At 35, he was an associate professor, and at 42, a full professor.
My ambition as a scientist is to be more famous for doing science than for being in this film, but unfortunately, Michael, it's not going to happen.
Now, you want some water?
Do you want constant water here?
I am seriously ill. I have a cancer in my throat. And I don't know what the prognosis, I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm not really focused on the long-term future. I'm focused on fairly short-term futures at the moment. A lot of the treatments that I've been having are things that are not good for your blood. And I'd had a couple of them in rapid succession, I guess. And so, yeah, my blood's a bit thin at the moment. 10 days ago, I went and had a blood test. And the nurse told me that the level of my hemoglobin was such that she expected me to be in a wheelchair.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I don't want to answer that. I don't answer those kind of questions.
I thought that one would come up because when I was doing the other one, somebody said, "What do you think about girls?" And I said, "I don't answer questions like that." Is that the reason you're asking it?
The best answer would be to say that I don't answer questions like that, but I mean, it was what I said when I was 7, and it's still the most sensible, but I mean, what about them?
I mean, if you'd been somebody who had fixed ideas of a woman's role in marriage that meant dinner on the table at 6 every evening.
Didn't I tell you about that?
By 28, Nick had married Jackie, a fellow student from Oxford.
We don't want to miss out on the chance of having a significant career, and we don't want to miss out on the chance to have kids and to be involved with them.
The moment of pure, unadulterated joy in my life was when my son was handed to me when he was born. I have never felt so optimistic, so just purely unworried about anything as that. It was just the strength. It was just, phew. So that's.
Did that last forever?
Well, no. I mean, no, he didn't.
By 42, they were divorced.
What I concluded, and I've talked to other people about this who've gone through it, I'm not sure if they feel it as strongly as I did, but it was like a death. If your spouse died, you could look back and think, well, it was wonderful while it lasted. But in a divorce, you can't look back and say, these are all happy memories. You can talk to me by myself outside, but I'll just meet you by the garage, okay? All right, bye.
Nick's son Adam was 10 when his parents divorced.
When he was first told, he was terribly, terribly upset. And then he just pulled himself together and didn't want to talk about it anymore.
Take it easy, Adam. Main thing is not to crash.
Really? You don't want me to crash right now?
How does he deal with it now?
He doesn't talk to me about it very much at all. He's a private person. He's getting more mature, and he has to be very patient with me, really. Can you imagine having me for a dad? Do you think it would be a low-pressure existence? Chris, who is my new wife.
I'm okay.
I don't mean to be superficial, but I think she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
And how's married life?
Well, me being very ill has certainly been a bit of a damper on things, but Chris is being actually a complete angel about it.
Over the years, Nick's research hit trouble, and by 42, he was forced to abandon it.
When I was 13, I got hold of a book which said that we were really in trouble because of pollution. And because of this, I went into this nuclear fusion thing. So I made some choices to start working in this field that handicapped me later.
Because I still can't make it work.
There were scientists in essentially the same organization I was in saying, you cannot build these things. So I had to pay attention. I had to try and do something different.
So the area that I'm looking at is this times this. Put them at meters.
I don't know why I have a compulsion to teach, really. It was just always there in me. I just wanted to do it. I thought I'd be good at it.
So I'm hoping that you will remember me being very stupid and going, ow, there's arrows.
Are you still teaching?
Yes. My students are wonderful.
Yes, that's really impressive.
I'm hanging in there as long as I can with them.
Apparently he was a bit of a jerk.
It's great to be around them. Unless they've got a cold and they're insisting on coughing on me. I try to get them not to cough on me, but it's a bit hard to deflect them.
What attracts you about America?
It's an exciting place to be. There's a lot going on. It's much easier to go out and get things done than in England.
When you came here, was it a surprise to you?
America was quite different than I would have expected.
What do you make of Trump?
Oh, gosh. I don't know how much of what he says is for effect and how much he believes. And that's the huge question in my mind. Yeah. Theresa May was at Oxford at the same time as me. You don't get to do that going to Bradford Poly. Okay, yes, so this was my staircase in my first... You're still seeing that people from the right public schools continue to run the country. Those people are not necessarily the ones who are most fit to run the country. They have a superficial glibness. They can present themselves well on a podium, but it's alarming that they are the only ones who have a clear route to running the country.
They'd like to come out for a holiday in the country when I like to have a holiday in the town.
Do you want to take up farming?
No. I'm not interested in it. My youngest brother's a deaf one. If he can't do anything else, he can probably run a farm. But as a last resort...
It's a fixed reference point, in a sense, the sort of earthy life and death cycle that you get living on a farm.
What did you learn here, do you think, that you've carried with you?
I sort of feel as if you could look deep somewhere inside me. I feel like there's some of this in there somewhere. I think of it as being magnificent, but rather grim, really. And sometimes it's rather tragic, but, you know, it makes other places you go seem rather trivial as well.
Well, I come up most weekends, and then Chris gets up usually in midweek.
We don't get over to England very often, and so you can count on one hand how many times you're going to see your family before somebody dies. And that's getting more and more pressing every time we come.
Have I seen you since you lost your dad?
No. I loved my dad a lot, but he was an old man, and he was in his mid-80s. I mean, the last time I saw him, there wasn't much left of him. He was a tiny little frail thing who didn't have much to say. I don't...
Okay.
Don't know. I mean, you know me, Michael. I'm sure I haven't dealt with it fully.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But it's full of emotion, all this.
It's all the stuff that we repress as hard as we can, isn't it? But, yeah, it really is.
If I can change the world, I'd change it into a diamond.
I'm still the same little kid, really. Probably all of us are. I think I can relate to that little guy. He was sort of all eager and earnest, trying to answer the questions. You know, so yes, I think you can tell I'm still the same kid. I think this film is extremely important. It's important to me, but it seems to be important to other people as well. That doesn't make it an easy thing. It's an incredibly hard thing to be in, and I can't even begin to describe how emotionally draining and wrenching it is just to make the film and to do the interviews. And that's even when I'm pretending that nobody else is watching it. It isn't a picture really of the essence of Nick.
Who is to say what?
It's a picture of every man. It's how a person, any person, how they change. It's made me think about all sorts of things more intensely than I probably would have otherwise. There are lots of issues that it raises that I've stewed over the years. It certainly highlights the difference between living in America and England. Relationships with spouses is given more intensity and focus by being discussed.
What has been the saddest thing?
I mean, right now, I'm struggling with being ill, and I'm very sad for the people who are being affected by that.
I don't know.
Life doesn't turn out the way I expect.
Are you frightened about it?
Not for myself, but for them a bit. Yeah, I'm frightened for them.
And what about the other children? Where are they now? What are they doing?
I would like to get married when I grow up. I don't think you want to go to university if you want to be an astronaut. I'm going to work in Woolworths. My heart's desire is to see my daddy.